All right. Good morning, Julian.
Good morning, Paul. How are you?
Very well. Yes, very well. Things, picking up with the Christmas rush on the way. So lots of urgency in the market on both sides at the moment. So plenty going on. How about you?
Yeah, I am well. I am well. I hope everyone's well out there. And yeah, sort of Christmas mode is probably, I think probably a couple of weeks away from being, things will just go into absolute Christmas mode, I think.
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
in shopping centres yesterday and there was obviously decorations and Christmas carols going everywhere.
I know. Yeah. Still, I mean, been here for 16 years now. Still can't used to, feeling warm and hearing Christmas music. The two just,
Yeah.
still doesn't seem as it should.
Well,
But yeah,
anyone
it's
from
definitely
Victoria,
happening now.
anyone from Victoria watching this, Paul, 2 days ago, we absolutely bucketed snow in Falls Creek and up on the high plains. So they might have a white Christmas.
Yes, yeah, that's it. You never know. Stranger things have
Yeah,
happened,
bucketed
haven't
snow.
they? That's bizarre. Perfect. Okay, so let's talk about today. So today we're going to touch on marketing, in particular, food critics, social influencers, and bloggers, which I know, Julian, you've got some insight and experience with.
Yeah.
And then I guess just talk around where you and I have a shared view and opinion on I guess generally an overview of marketing and how you can make a big impact and influence in your business without spending a single dollar. So
Yeah.
with I have to admit, with social influencers and bloggers, I don't have a great deal of experience. So maybe talk us through your kind of
Yeah.
insights and how
So
you see that.
So I think today, like, as you said, I mean, there's obviously a massive amount of marketing opportunities and mediums in Facebook and Instagram and all the likes that you can go down and, there's cost-effective processes that you can do that. But what we wanted to do today was just pick one area to have a look at. I have a friend that is a food blogger, and hope she won't mind me saying, Foodie in Heels is a name, bit of fashion and a bit of food. She's actually a lawyer by trade, Paul. So
Okay, all
she's
right.
just
So it's like a
absolutely
side project hobby. Big
100%.
foodie.
She's passionate about it, and the way I love the way that Jess does it. Jess is her name. I love the way that Jess does it because she's neutral. She doesn't get paid to do it. She doesn't earn any money doing it. She doesn't ask for anything. She goes out and does it. Now, she may get invited to events and the likes and do it, obviously, as part of a PR program, but she tells the truth on what she experiences.
Okay, so it's not all just glowing reviews. It's actually is
the
it
truth.
critiques?
Yeah.
Okay,
So I think
interesting.
the first point is, and I've sat with Jess numerous times and looked at other bloggers and had discussions with her about, I think bloggers that are worth getting in contact with and using or getting access to and discussing them coming in, and bloggers who are probably just out for themselves and, they may come in for a free meal and write whatever you want to write. So I think we'll go over some stats in a minute, but there is some bloggers out there that I know people wouldn't want to use, and I absolutely agree with that. And then there's some bloggers that have great followings and really post great photos and great articles. So when I go out for dinner with Jess to a new venue, she may have an invite to go out to a new venue. She'll order an array of food across the board. I'm not allowed to touch it until she photographs everything, but she'll professionally photograph everything. So when she posts and talk about it, the images look fantastic.
Okay.
Then she'll sit down and actually write about her experience, and we'll discuss her experience on service and food quality. So my tip on that, Paul, is in your area, if there's a known food blogger, and that could be regionally, Paul, or New South Wales or Sydney or Melbourne or Brisbane, have a look and follow people that you actually like their stories and actually, you like how they post, you like the images that they post, the venues that they're attending, and obviously what they write.
I think I'll definitely have a look at her profile because I like the
I'll
fact
send
of
you a
what
link.
you've said there, that it's it is relatively impartial, because a lot of those things, a lot of the and I'm showing my age maybe a little bit here and my naivety with this kind of thing, but when I've looked at a lot of bloggers, I've looked at a lot of social influencers and their posts, I almost take it with a massive grain of salt, because you kind of think, well, these guys are getting 3, 5, 10, 15 grand, whatever it is that they're getting paid to give exposure to give a glowing review. So
Yep.
can you rely on what they're saying? If you've got somebody like that that's got a more objective view, then I would imagine that following, even if it, depending, I don't even know what size it is, but even if it's a tenth of the size of somebody else, it probably carries more weight in relating, posts and interaction across to dollars spent in the venue.
Yeah. So, I think coming on the next slide, Paul, I think, so she has about 20,000 followers. So the thing to notice if you're going out and looking at a food blogger and, having a look at what they're doing, have a look at the engagement, because a food blogger, or an influencer can put, posts out there and descriptions of new products and the likes. But if there's no interaction, their supporters are not really following what they're doing or really interested in what they're doing. Now, you get a food blogger that has a real following and people really obviously communicate with them and discuss, their posts and feedback and the likes, that's way more powerful. So look at their number of followers and then look at the interactions on how many times people interact, and you can start to see whether they've actually got true influence.
Yeah. But if you, yourself, if you're scrolling through something and it's all just, the same kind of generic copy about how wonderful everything was and blah, 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 you just, after a while, you just don't believe it. It doesn't become credible. I'm interested to know with you, this has obviously been, it's been around for quite a long time now. Where do you see this in relation to where it was and where it's going, like the life cycle, if you like, of influencers and bloggers and so on? Do you think it's something that is kind of reached its mass? Is it still growing? Are there more coming out? Is there more or less credibility than there was sort of 12, 24 months ago?
You know what I think? I honestly, I actually think that the influencers of, let's talk food bloggers because that's our interest. But I think the ones with credibility that actually, write correct articles and do correct photos and, may go to, that really support the actual food industry, I think will shine through. And I think they'll be the last man standing. And I think there will be probably less and less influencers that are jumping on board and grabbing a free meal. And I've got friends that own cafes, as you know, Paul, that, have had people saying, I'll come to you. All you do is give me a free meal and I'll post about your business. Right? Get stuffed. Get stuffed. I'm not interested in that.
I'm interested to know, like the venues that like that. I mean, how many, with that kind of approach, how many are receptive to that?
Oh, I think some people do it because you get a positive review, but for my I think that's a poor way to do it. Yes. I think anybody contacting you for free product in lieu of them writing something, that's what you and I would, that's what I see falling away. Because hop on your bike, you know what I mean? Like how I think, with someone like like my friend Jess, like she's just so passionate about the food industry. Like if there's a food festival or whatever on, she's there. Whatever food festival or championing the country, farmers and the likes like that, like actually being legitimate about the industry, I think it shines through.
So what's the difference with her approach and her style then? Is she contacting the venues? Are they contacting her? How does that work?
I think so. Her style will be, if it's a new venue, she'll just go and pay for it herself. And they may know that she's there, they may not. Or she has, because she's got about 18, 20,000 followers, PR companies will contact her and give her an invite to an event. So
I see.
That way someone will know that there's a food blogger coming and they'll know all the data about her. So she's got quite good relationships with PR firms, but she doesn't get paid from them. She'll just go to that event. She'll get a free ticket to go to that event. Okay. So she's not on the PR payroll. Right. That allows her to be neutral. So I encourage anybody that may be launching a new menu, maybe launching a new product, to talk to a PR firm and see if there are some food bloggers and in the area and in the region, and just investigate it, because it is an avenue that can get a lot of traction.
Oh, absolutely. And those connections, something that even if they come originally through the PR agency, they may remain afterwards, even if you stop using the agency. Definitely worth Yeah, I like the way that PR agencies work. I've got a couple of clients that use them. So yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right.
And so this next slide, I think it just covers a little bit of what we're talking about in the engagement. Sorry about the it's a bit text heavy, but here you can sort of see what you're saying is you could have a food blogger with 30,000 followers that generates on average 5 comments per post. You know, that's probably not a huge reach when you look at it as a percentage. Or you could have a 10,000 follower that generates double that per comment, 10 comments per post. So you can see, Paul, when they post, you can see how many comments they've got, whether it be Facebook or Insta. You can see the interactions. So that's a real indication of whether their follower base is actually real or not. Because I think the other thing, if you go back to the history of food bloggers and influencers, have they organically built their followers or did they go buy them? And the buy-ins don't interact as much.
But the engagement, is a key metric on all platforms. The number of followers just a vanity metric. Whereas, as you said, the engagement's where it's at. So if there's good following, good feedback. If you're going to do this, even if you're just giving away a dinner for 2 or a meal for 2 or whatever it is there a way that people that may be considering using a blogger or an influencer can actually monitor the return on that investment of either payment or dinner? Is there things that you've seen happen that, if I'm saying to you, look, you come and have dinner, I'll give you dinner, you post something, make it objective or whatever. How do I know, other than looking at posts, comments, interactions on your feed, how can I measure what return I've got on that?
I think the only, you may know a little bit different, but the only way to do that, I think, from a measuring point of view, is to maybe have an offer. And I'm not saying you have to discount everything all the time. It's not always about discount. Paul might be, mention Jess's Foodie and Hills, mention Foodie and Hills and grab a free cup of coffee, or have a free wine with your meal. I think that's always the way to do it. I think just to track what the effect is, of people coming in. So I think you can track them looking at your website. You can track them looking at your Instagram or your Facebook pages and the likes, and see the increase once an influencer posts. And you can see, obviously, an increase in traffic.
Exactly.
So you can track that. But, to get probably a true one on the floor to understand if it's $1, it comes through the door. I'd always put a little offer with it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Perfect. What do we got next?
Yeah. So it's a bit of the do's and the don'ts with them. So, I think, sitting there again, Paul, I've been fortunate enough to be for like dozens of restaurants with Jess. So I'm always a third wheel. I just want the free meal. Sorry, guys. But I do want to try a new restaurant. But, just allowing her just to eat and just experience a true setting is really, really important. I think, acknowledge, I'm sure, say hello and all that sort of stuff if you actually know who the food blogger is, but give them some space to do their job. I think going over the top and the likes can actually disadvantage the experience, to be honest. And if you're asking for that's what I said before, this one about, if they come in for a free meal, asking them to write a positive review, I just think that's the wrong way to go about it. I think you should be really strong on understanding that your service and your quality of food is strong enough to get a good experience. And I've, sorry, just quickly, Paul, I've been with Jess that we've been out for dinner and we did have a bad experience, and she posted her true feelings, and the good venues will contact her for to bring her back in.
That's right. It's very important that you follow up on things like that, isn't it?
We've all had
bad deal with it.
reviews.
You can turn somebody who effectively, could be a detractor. If you deal with the complaint or the feedback, the criticism in the right way, I think there's something very rewarding about taking somebody from that to actually not just coming back to you, but to becoming an advocate. And usually in those instances, if you handle that right, those people can become some of the most loyal customers.
Biggest champion.
So
Definitely.
You've got to take that. You've got to remove yourself a little bit. I think for me, it's always about take a few breaths or have a good night's sleep, come back before you respond. Don't respond reactively, but come back with a very considered approach without taking things personally. You know, and you can deal with things in the right way. It makes a huge difference and can really have a positive impact on the long-term relationship with the person that effectively, if you just leave, will probably never come back.
Yeah, and I think that goes for online reviews. And, you know, I think, you know, you probably see a fair few posts in the cafe group, you know, about bad reviews and how do you handle that and the likes. And I mean, you're always going to get people that aren't satisfied in a sense. Like we deal in people, you know, like people make the food, people serve the food, people eat the food. You're dealing with humans, so you're going to get people that may not have a great experience. But I think I learn over time. Just to take, as you said, take the emotion out and go back and investigate the experience. Maybe try the food yourself just to make sure that the flavor, that they didn't miss anything. And we used to use video cameras a lot. We had some big venues, Paul, so we had a lot of video cameras. So I used to go and use it for staff training. I probably used it more for staff training than security, where I could go and watch, you know, how long the food took to go from, you know, the order coming in to the pass to actually get delivered to the customer.
Yeah, and that's interesting.
Yeah, I used to use it as staff training way more than security. I used to find a lot of stuff on there from security too. But when a complaint came in, I would go get our managers to go to the cameras and have a look at what happened and do a bit of a report for us, and then contact the customer with a bit of an understanding of what happened.
Okay, yeah, good. Yeah, it's a good idea. Very useful.
And I think, you know, if a food blogger comes in and they haven't had a great experience, then I'd rather drill down and understand, you know, how to fix that and you know, move forward. And we're in an imperfect business, Paul. Hospitality is an imperfect business.
Yeah, that's right. You strive for perfection, you're going to drive yourself nuts. You know, you can't please everybody, but you can learn a lot from people that make constructive criticism. Obviously, you know, like we said with the online reviews, you've got people that just have got no idea at all. And, you know, you see things where they've posted a negative review and they've actually got the wrong place, you know. So you've got to take it for what it is. But, I think dealing with it in the right ways is crucial.
If you just take it back a quick set too, Paul, is that, you know, if somebody comes in and they have a bad, you know, a bad omelette, if you're a cafe and they have a bad omelette and it's, you know, it wasn't great, undercooked or whatever, when you look at it, when you take out the emotion, you're like, that omelette probably costs $3.50. So we used to have a bit of a motto of fix it fast and move on. Yeah. And the reason being that was to fix it fast was that you're dealing with a customer, you know, you may be fortunate that they're there and you can fix it, but your eye's off the ball and you got someone else actually that gets bad experience because you're trying to fight somebody over an omelette, you know? Like,
exactly,
just take out the emotion, fix it, give it to them for free, move on. You know, when you look at percentages, it doesn't cost much. Yeah.
No, that's right. That's it. Yeah, perfect. All right, and then we've got some statistics here. Now, where did these come from?
So these are actually from a company in the UK, Paul. I actually got it from the UK. And I've been using these statistics for a little while because I think at the end of the day, you know, you can do all the marketing in the world and you can go get the best food bloggers in the world. But if your service and your food quality is not on point, it doesn't matter what you do, right?
Yeah,
I think everyone.
Yeah, you're speaking my language now.
So everyone would agree, right? So I think when you look at the damage done when you don't provide great service or great food, or if you look at the actual positive influence when you do provide good service and good food, it's so startling that, you know, that's what I would be focusing on if I was, you know, back in a venue today. Would be ensuring my quality of product and service was to the best of our ability.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that carries through to most businesses, doesn't it? If you're doing the right thing, then your marketing team effectively are your customers or your clients. And that's why, you know, it always makes me laugh when you see marketers marketing really hard. You just think, well, you're obviously, you know, you're in the business of marketing, so you know all the tips and tricks and so on. But some of the best people, some of the most effective coaches, consultants, business people generally, they're nearly all of their business is coming from referrals, people actually talking about their business and referring people to them, I think, if you get it right, I definitely think there should be some element of marketing. But this, as you said, all you're doing ultimately, if you're spending money on bringing in more people and you haven't got the basics, your service isn't better than the place down the road, your product isn't better than the place down the road, and it's not consistent, you're wasting your time and your money by increasing the amount of people that are coming through. So fixing that first, and as you said, fast is crucial, and the rest of it usually follows. I mean, you think back to the times, we ran successful venues before Facebook, before Instagram, based on word of mouth. It was based on word of mouth.
I read a book recently. I'm just trying to pick up the name quickly. I read a book recently, Paul, and the data and statistics on word of mouth, viral marketing through word of mouth, is still way more powerful than online.
That wasn't known. Jonah Berger.
Contagious? No.
Oh, yes, same guy. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Same guy. Jonah Berger, I think.
Yes, correct. Sorry, it was. Yes. And you read that book and you put it down, and there's obviously academic reports on the actual statistics on still word of mouth. It's still the best marketing you can have.
100%. Yeah, and I'm glad you've read that. It's a great book, and I encourage anybody to read that. It's very, very useful, and my feelings on that. It's
So when you look at that, we'll just have a quick look at some statistics here, because I think they're really quite eye-opening. 33% of diners would not return to a restaurant if a staff member didn't pay attention to their preferences.
What does that mean? Doesn't pay attention? How would you clarify that?
So I would say if maybe it is an order, maybe it's a well done steak, or maybe it's a medium rare steak, or maybe they'll say, "Can I have sauce on the side rather than on top?" Maybe it'll be, I'd like to order, dessert now, but can I have it come? I'll let you know when it's ready, or when I would like it. And that doesn't happen. I have some starters. Can you bring the starters first and then bring the mains, and then everything comes out together?
That's pretty annoying when people don't pay attention to that sort of thing.
Yeah. So, if a customer asks for something and it's, it doesn't, hurt your business, then definitely do it. 24% would not return to a food ad if the experience wasn't memorable or special. So, I think that kind of goes without saying. And, memorable or special too, Paul, maybe that, there's times, I think you'd be like me in a sense too, that I just want to go for a cup of coffee and sit down and actually not be annoyed and just have time. And if you pick up on that, that's a preference. If you pick up that that's what I want, then as a customer, you sort of you can leave that over and not come over 5 times and ask if I want another refill.
I think that's a really useful thing to turn around and ask yourself, what are you doing in your venue to make sure that every customer that comes through the door has an experience that's memorable? And as you said, you don't have to overthink this. It doesn't have to be complicated. Even, as we spoke before offline, something as simple as, how's your day been? Or just making some sort of conversation beyond taking the order. And I tell you, and I won't go on too much of a rant about this, but even for me, people acknowledging that you've actually given business to the venue by saying please and thank you. I mean, it's simple manners. But I've been to several places recently where the person has got through the entire transaction of taking my order and taking the money and dealing with the whole thing with little more than telling me how much it was to pay. Nothing else.
That's it. The whole experience.
No. We don't go there as a customer to be thanked. But it's actually, I think it's just good manners and good business to thank people for their business.
I think an opening, we all, everybody's got, staff complexities, and we understand that. But, we used to train our staff is just that acknowledgement. And even if you're serving somebody to somebody at the door is, hey, how are you? I'll be with you in a minute. People are not silly. They can see that you're busy, right? And just the acknowledgement alone goes a long way and buys you time to get that person seated. So there's some real basic stuff that I think needs to be covered.
But that's, yeah, as we said, that, I mean, that, as simple as it sounds, could be something that makes the experience in your venue more memorable than somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, you go somewhere, you feel appreciated, you want to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 56% wouldn't return if the food was cooked the way they asked. So that's, if you're getting an undercooked steak and it's got to go back and get cooked a bit more, or you get fish that's undercooked, or if you ask for hard eggs and they come out runny, little things like that. So I think
56%, that's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, and I think people, I think people are more fussy now than they ever have been, and expect more, and would ask for their eggs to be a certain way, or for their coffee not to be too hot.
People know now. There's a lot more education. There's a lot more interest in cooking at home. There's a lot more, reality TV and shows about cookery. Australia is a fantastic place. It's so far ahead in the culinary world to most other countries, to be honest. That the very educated customer base that we've got now, which is good because it in turn raises the game of the venue. And as we, talking about with feedback and criticism and complaints, sometimes you got to take it on the chin and actually look at, maybe it wasn't right. Maybe we can improve it, and that kind of, if you take it the right way, can raise the bar and help you to stand out from the crowd. But 56% is huge. So it goes to show that kind of paying attention, firstly, to what the order was, and secondly, executing that is extremely important.
Is really, really important.
2/3 of your customers gone.
Just huge. By delivering wrong product. So 51% said they would return to a restaurant if a waiter or waitress simply remembered them from the previous visit. So, that acknowledgement of, welcome back, great to see you again. We've changed the menu, new items are, things like that. This sort of stuff sounds basic, Paul, but I spend a lot of time in restaurants and I see a lot of this missing,
Yeah. There's a great YouTube video. I don't know whether you've seen it, with John Taffer and Gary Vaynerchuk, where Gary Vaynerchuk's interviewing him, and he's John Taffer's talking about a technique that restaurants or cafes can use to identify, is it the first visit? If so, what do you give them to bring them back for the second visit? And after that, what do you bring them back for the third? Because obviously there's proven stats that we're talking about here that after 3 visits, you've got a very loyal customer and they're likely to continue coming. So that's probably, of all of them, that's, I would say, one of the most useful. If you can do something to make sure that person, not only, you've got to give them a reason to come back to be recognised, right? What can you do?
I'd have to double check this, but I bet you this is all first visit stuff. Because the more visits you come to, the statistics would drop, because the people, when you give them a little bit of slack, that maybe they've made a mistake, right?
Yes, that's true.
This is generally, I would think that this is generally first visit, first impression.
Yeah, so I've got a three strikes and out rule myself.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So,
I walk past a coffee shop to go get my coffee pretty much most days. And the coffee shop that I walk past is not, they're not doing anything wrong, and I don't mind their coffee, but they just didn't hit the personal service when I went in 2 or 3 times, and that was it for me. I just won't go back, and I wish them all the best, but for me, it was enough.
Yeah, exactly the same. I've got parallel experience here in my suburb. So it's so crucial, and with the increased competition, the improvement of service and just small changes, small tweaks, and small things that will make that experience an outstanding one for your customers. It's something that costs you no more than a bit of time and effort with training and accountability and management of the team. But it's a lot of it's just basic stuff that doesn't seem to get followed up.
The other thing, Paul, is like, if we're going through price increases, obviously with inflation coming and coffee prices and the like. So if you've got a clientele base that you kind of know who they are, and they come in 2, 3, 4 times, whatever, and you generally know who they are, and you've got a rapport with them, it's going to be a lot easier to raise the price than
100%,
if you don't,
100%.
you know,
Yeah,
to be
well,
able
it's
to
the same,
say,
if your customers are only coming because of the price, there's a problem first off.
Yeah,
But and those prices go up, they're gone. But the other thing is, like we just mentioned about competition. I can walk out this door and there's 15 cafes within 100 meters.
Yeah.
All of which, bar one, maybe two, all of which make very, very good coffee. So if you're saying, okay, well, what's the point of difference? If I just want a coffee, I've got 12 or 13 cafes that all make good coffee. Where am I going? I'm going to the one that remembered my name, remembered my order, and there's a good culture. There's a good atmosphere behind the counter. There's always a bit of laughter. People, it's a place you want to go. There's definitely an edge to be had there from a marketing angle that a lot of people, are potentially overlooking.
Yeah. All right, we'll jump to the last page and we'll do some 22% of customers chose to visit a restaurant based on what food or atmosphere looked like on social media. So back to the point of good photographs. Don't put anything up that is half done and looks terrible. Some food doesn't shoot well, Paul, as you know. So really think about what you're putting online as well. People do eat with their eyes. So visually, you want to make sure that the photos are really done quite well.
Yes.
It's really important.
Yeah.
35 said a complimentary glass of wine would make the experience stand out. So that's a really high statistics. Now, you and I have spoken before about once you cost your menu and you know what things cost you to make per serve or to provide per serve, it's such a cheap giveaway. A glass of wine might cost you $3.50 or $4 to make someone's experience quite special. So if I found out it was their birthday, I used to try and send over a free Nutella and strawberry calzone that they could share. Anything to make their experience something special.
Yeah, that's right. I'd be very happy with that.
And it's a fee really well spent, and I think
absolutely, that's an investment. It's not an expense. That's an investment in building a customer that has a memorable experience that hopefully tells other people and comes back again.
50% said that a special birthday dessert or complimentary treat would make their experience stand out. So again, you and I have spoken about this, and I'm a really big advocate. So we used to use it in all our restaurants. And in our group, we had 25 restaurants nationally. Okay. And we used to give away a free birthday meal to our members. So we used to have exclusive members, but we used to give them a free birthday meal. And, what we found when we had a look at their bill, they would always bring more people. They would never dine by themselves.
That's right. Well, hopefully you're not going to have a birthday lunch.
You may do. You may. And if you do, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
But on average, your margin on the whole thing would be substantial. So it's a real easy win for me, Paul. A real easy win that if you have a loyalty program or get to know your customers, feel free to ask them, hey, when's your birthday?
It's interesting. Just thinking about that now. How often recently have you? Well, I mean, it's been very difficult to go out recently. Certainly here, anyway. Probably easier for you guys, but I mean, when you go out for dinner. Have you been asked recently, have you dined with us before, or what brings you here tonight? Is there an occasion? I can't remember the last time I was asked that. And it's a great opportunity to, to follow up and to try and build that loyalty, build that second visit. If it's the first one, like you're saying there, a complimentary glass of wine, 35%, what a great way to bring people back for the second time. And then if we can get that recognition on the second visit, then it's just a win-win. It compounds from there, doesn't it?
Yeah. So no. We say know your numbers, but know your customers.
Exactly.
83% said that they decide between one place over another based on food quality, closely followed by location and reputation. So I'm a pretty big advocate of this, Paul. Food for me is first.
Yep.
So I will go somewhere and drive somewhere, vanilla slice, or, go somewhere on food number one. If, there's certainly some Asian cuisines that just make the best food, but internally the shop looks terrible. But I'd still go because I love the food.
Yeah.
And then obviously somewhere, location and reputation. So yeah, I'm a big advocate on that. Food, you don't forgive bad food too much. You're less inclined to forgive a bad meal than bad service. That's what I find.
That's very true. Yeah, I was going to just throw service in there and say, so if there's a place that's good food and terrible service, closer than somewhere the other way around, how would you feel about that?
Yeah, I think I find that if I've got good food and the service isn't great, I mean, there's a difference between not great service and bad service. So I think if I went somewhere and the food was really good but the service wasn't great, I would go back.
Yeah.
If the service is really bad, and rude or whatever, then you're probably not going to go. But if I went somewhere and the service was great but the food was terrible, I'm out. I won't go back.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah. So, I mean, it's all very important, isn't it? And
yeah,
the consistency and the incremental improvement of both, I think, based on feedback and some of these numbers is where it's at. So very interesting. Yeah, some very interesting statistics.
Yeah.
Really does. It kind of makes you think, and I guess it makes you think about, well, okay, if you're running a venue, how much attention are you paying to these things, and what are you doing to try and improve them? So very useful.
100%.
Thank you.
Keep it simple.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Excellent. Great. Perfect. Well, hopefully that's helped. As always, if there's any questions about this or anything else that we've talked about in any of these live streams, feel free to post in the comments below or reach out directly to Julian or myself. We're always happy to talk anything hospitality related, especially anything we can do to help you make more profit, bring more revenue in, and build the value of your business. So always happy to help in any way that we can. Julian, again, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Paul.
Very useful, as always. Very informative.
Yeah, it's good. And hope everyone is ramping up for Christmas trade and back out there. And it's exciting time, to be honest.
It is. Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah. Fantastic. All right. Thanks, Julian. Thanks, guys.